Good morning. I'm in my car because my kids are crazy and loud and won't leave me alone. So here's where I'm recording Genesis 29. So this is this part of the story in Jacob's life where he deceived his brother Esau, and now he's running for his life and he's going to his uncle's house. And then he gets to a place where he's watering the sheep. Verse 8 says the sheep couldn't drink from the well until the stone was rolled away. So it says, until all the flocks are gathered and the stone has been rolled away from the mouth of the well, then we will water the sheep. And I thought that was kind of symbolic for a few things that we see in the New Testament. In John, there was the woman at the well, and Jesus told her that he's the living water. In John 21, he tells the disciple to feed his sheep. And in Luke 24, the story of the resurrection of Christ where the stone was rolled away. I just thought that was, it could be cultural, it could be symbolic, but I thought those were cool little parallels. The rest of the chapter is kind of a what not to do when you're dating. I couldn't help but laugh when I read this because, if I'm Rachel, this guy is doing it all wrong. The very first thing he does is kiss her. Excuse me, no, don't ever do that, you guys, don't. The second thing he does is cry loudly, and she's probably like, nope, thumbs down. Today in today's culture they would be. But the third thing he does, and this is really the kicker, you guys, but not in that culture, he tells her they're related. By the way, we're cousins. And for some reason she's like, let's get married. So, whenever there's something really weird that happens in the Bible that seems like it's the opposite of what should happen, I always like to look at the cultural context, because obviously that was not weird then, and it's super weird now. Please don't take a cue from a buddy Jacob, okay? Not good. And then there's the wedding. So he works 7 years for this girl, which he must really, really love her in order to work 7 years. And then another what not to do, you guys. When you have a wedding, don't get married in the dark, okay? Flick a light on. It's fine. Make sure you're marrying the right girl. So he doesn't. He marries a different girl. He's given a different woman. He's given Rachel's sister Leah. And then he's like, I was tricked. And it's funny how offended he was by being tricked, because that's why he's running for his life. He tricked his brother. So it's a little bit of a what goes around comes around for him. It might be God having a sense of humor, but it's also something that causes future problems in his life, or future instances of grief for not just him but other people around him. So then he agrees to work for another 7 years. It doesn't look like he has to wait another 7 years before he marries Rachel, so he finally gets the love of his life. If I'm Leah, I'm feeling a little unloved right now, and she does feel unloved, but you'll be able to see at the end of the chapter, she's the one that gets to have kids right away, and that was a really big blessing for them. And having offspring and heirs was how they wanted a remnant, or people to follow. They wanted heirs. So that's kind of interesting how the story unfolded and how different it would be from today's culture. But God uses all sorts of weird stuff in these stories, whether it's culturally relevant to that time or not, but he uses them later for his glory. So it's kind of cool how he can use these things in a bigger picture.